Hello there! Welcome back to the 25th episode of Star Wars in a Galaxy. We did 25, people. 20 freaking 5. It's incredible. I cannot believe this. It's crazy. It's also, what is it also, Jacob? It's the end of Season 3.
It is the end of Season 3.
But first
of
all...
Made it through all of Clone Wars. So this is going to be a retrospective episode talking about our overall
Attack
thoughts
the Clones,
on it.
of course, but but first of all, welcome to Star Wars in a Galaxy. Watching all the Star Wars you can get your, watching all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. Well, I almost messed up our catchphrase. It's not a good day for me in English. I'm Eli.
I'm Jacob.
And let's get into this. So what we usually do, we have a set of 10 questions for each of our retrospective episode to look back on what we've done. We've done all of Attack of the Clones and all of the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars. We have 10 questions, and we're going to answer those 10 questions for both of them. So let's get into Attack of the Clones first, right?
Wait, so this is for both Attack of the Clones?
Yes, this is for both of the Attack of the Clones and Clone Wars.
Oh, I thought this was just for Clone Wars. Okay, I'm going to have to wing some stuff, but that's okay.
I'm winging everything, so it's fine. Okay, overall thoughts about Attack of the Clones and your impressions on this newest rewatch of it.
Okay, so for Attack of the Clones, do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay, Attack of the Clones. I will say I did not dislike it as much as I thought I would, and as much as I had, or I should say I didn't dislike it as much as I had previous rewatches. I found myself actually enjoying quite a few parts of it that previously I didn't find much value in. I still thought it wasn't a very I still thought it wasn't a very good movie, but I found it much more fun. I was having more fun watching it than I was the first time. I don't know exactly what changed, but it just felt different. I just felt like I was enjoying it more. I think that there are a lot of things that could have been done better. Some of the dialogue or lack thereof, the acting, bit of the CGI and art direction wasn't my favorite, but overall I just liked being able to watch the prequels.
I actually agree a lot. I think it honestly amplified the good and amplified the bad at the same time. Like the bad stuff, it always stuck out to me in Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones, I'll talk about my impressions before this, and this hasn't changed anything from it, but I like to regard myself as a saga fan. I like stuff about all 11 Star Wars movies. That being said, this was and still is my least favorite of all 11 theatrical Star Wars movies. There's some really stuff that just doesn't work for me. Every Star Wars has something for everyone, you know what I mean? Some people like different, that's not what I meant. What I mean is every Star Wars movie has people who think it's the best, is what I mean. For example, I'll give a quick shout out right now. Alice, she's one of the hosts of Force Toast and Star Wars Happy Hour. She digs this movie. It's her favorite Star Wars movie. I've had to hear her just from listening to that awesome podcast talk about how much she loves Attack of the Clones. Do I agree? Absolutely not. Does her own co-host agree with her? No. Does Jacob agree with her? I highly doubt so. But
I would say I don't disagree with her as much as I used to.
Yeah. But that's what I love about Star Wars sometimes, is that everyone's free to have their own opinions, and everyone has these different opinions. I never met or heard of anyone who liked Attack of the Clones that much because of before I heard of her and started listening to that podcast. But that being my point is, I think there's something good to find in every Star Wars movie, and this movie is no exception. The last 30 minutes of that movie is prime Star Wars, as I was saying. What was that, 2 episodes ago? I think it was 2 episodes ago, yeah. Overall thoughts, did it improve for me? Yes. Is it still my least favorite? Yes. Yeah. Let's go on.
Okay, but I think we both didn't dislike it.
Yeah, no, we both did, yeah. Rating, out of 10.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right. Ooh, I accidentally wrote down. I was about to say 8 out of 10, and I realized that was for the
You do
Clone
realize
Wars.
you rated Phantom Menace 3 out of 10. I'm just reminding
Yeah.
you of this.
Okay. Phantom Menace, with Phantom Menace 3 out of 10 in mind, I would give this a 4 out of 10.
Really?
And that
It's
sort of
better
comes
than
from
Attack of the
two.
Clone. The Phantom Menace.
I like it better than Phantom Menace. Here's why. I think quality wise, like looking at it from the perspective of, is this a good movie? I still think it gets like a 3 out of 10. It's like,
It's the
it's
Star
not
Wars
great.
add-on. It's like,
But in terms of being entertaining and fun and making me happy from a Star Wars fan perspective, regardless of like whether or not the movie was good or bad as a movie, as something that you go to the theaters to watch or something that you rent, as a story and as a piece of Star Wars, it made me happy to watch it again, and I was glad that I watched it. So and if it was just about that, I would have given it like the story. I would give like a 6 out of 10 or 6.5 out of 10. But I'm keeping it at a 4 out of 10. It's not. No, 5 out of 10. Okay, 5 out of 10. It wasn't. It's perfectly balanced in terms of what I like and what I dislike. I still think it's a pretty crappy movie in many regards, and the story could use some tweaking, but I really enjoyed it this time, so I'm gonna go with my gut, and I'm gonna say 5 out of 10.
There's this hashtag out there which I've had explained to me, which I think is a really interesting idea. I don't know if you agree with this. It's called hashtag all Star Wars is good. What it doesn't mean is that all Star Wars is automatically perfect. What it does mean, I've heard, is that for some people, and this is for me as well, just being a Star Wars movie automatically makes it awesome. You know what I mean? Just because it takes place in that universe automatically means it's incredible. Not incredible, but it's on another level, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so you really, really just love the Star Wars story, and you think that anything that is a part of that is automatically elevated, at least a little bit.
Yes, I think so. I think that about Attack of the Clones. That being said, I rated Phantom Menace a 6 out of 10. Not going to be as high as Phantom Menace because I have nostalgia over Phantom Menace. I don't have a nostalgia over Attack of the Clones. It's going to be 4.5, I think. 4.5 out of 10. It's still has its moments. Dooku is such a threatening villain. I love him so much. I love Yoda fighting. I love Obi-Wan versus Jango on Camino. There's a lot of stuff there that's really good. But it gives us I don't like sand. It gives us the summer camp monologue. It gives us young Boba Fett. There's a bunch of stuff that just I can't agree with in that movie. But overall, it's still it's Star Wars. I'm going to love it. Best moment
from Attack of the Clones. Best moment. I think in terms of sheer coolness, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with the moment at which all the clones and Yoda arrive, and he's like, around the survivors, a perimeter crate, and then all the droids just go.
So awesome.
And they just all get I like that.
I'm actually going to
like that quite a bit.
Provide my favorite moment is another moment with Yoda, and it revolves around one line, and it's one of my favorite lines from this entire movie. I don't think I talked about it when we were talking about Attack of the Clones, but Jacob.
It is obvious this contest cannot be decided by our knowledge of the Force, but by our skills with our lightsaber.
And that was the moment when you knew that Yoda was going to pull out his lightsaber and start fighting. That was
the Yoda duel.
Such, just that moment leading into Yoda, he does that thing where he, in such a badass way, Force pulls his lightsaber into his hand from his belt. He totally could have reached for it, but he wanted to go for the cool factor, so he had to Force pull it, and he ignites it, and that was the moment. That is always, a really, get hyped moments for me. It was yeah, he's gonna go. He's gonna fight Dooku. He's gonna try and bring his former Padawan back or kill him if he must. That moment was just pure magic for me. Worst moment.
worst moment in Attack of the Clones. I think I know. I think it's pretty obvious. Not I don't like sand, but the scene inside, the scene by the fireplace, the
I
scene
will
where
not
he
give
says,
into this.
the scene where Anakin says, "I can't breathe. Every day is torture," and just starts saying all that stuff. I can't remember the rest, but that scene.
Bad.
Woo-bee.
Yeah.
It is a doozy. It is
not good.
such a doozy. I shouldn't have to say why it's bad. It's just horrible. The writing is horrible. The delivery is horrible. Nothing about it says good dialogue. Nothing about it says
I agree.
good relationship. So I'm
It's
not
my scene. It's up there, but it's not my worst scene. My worst scene, I really do have to give it to it. I gotta do the scene by the lake at the cottage. That scene is just such a doozy. Of course, if I don't like sand, we could harp on about that line for hours. You have the summer camp monologue, which I personally think is actually worse, because there's more of it, and it makes even less sense than the.
It just makes no sense.
It makes and like Anakin is just so creepy in that scene. I can never get over how creepy Anakin is. It's disturbing, honestly. That's what I'm going for. Best character (S), because if you want to include multiple, you can.
You want to go first? I'm gonna need a minute to mull this.
Okay, you want me to go first for this?
I didn't.
Okay,
I didn't prep.
Best character. I'm gonna go with. I mean, it's a good movie for Yoda, but I'm always gonna say Yoda because he's my favorite Star Wars character. So I'm not gonna say, because I don't even think this is Yoda's best movie. I'm gonna go with. This is a weird pick. I'm gonna say Obi-Wan because I feel like he literally carries the entire movie on his back.
Really?
Okay. I mean, there aren't a lot of other there aren't a lot of other good performances in this movie, but I will give acknowledgement to as a great acting performance, even though we don't see that much of him. The late great Christopher Lee. I'm gonna go with best character from this movie, Count Dooku. I gotta say, I know some people don't agree with me, but I think he's really threatening. I think he is, in my opinion, he's threatening in a way that Phantom Menace, Maul. I'm not talking about Clone Wars because at the time this was released, Maul died in Phantom Menace. He's threatening in a way that Maul isn't, because Maul looks cool a lot, but what does Maul actually do in the Phantom Menace? He kills Qui-Gon, yes, that makes him threatening, but he then gets chopped in half by Obi-Wan 5 minutes later, making him, let's just say, not so threatening. Again, disregarding the Clone Wars, because at that time, he was dead at the Battle of Naboo. But Dooku, he commandeers that humongous droid army. He makes preparations for literally thousands of systems to leave the galaxy. He bests not just Obi-Wan, which Maul failed to do, by the way, and that was a weaker Obi-Wan, by the way, and Anakin. He bests both of them. Yoda has to come in and start fighting him. And let's think about something. Dooku doesn't get a scratch in that duel. Dooku gets not a scratch in that duel. Does he use escape tactics? Yes. But does he use escape tactics to distract the wisest Jedi of all of them? Also, yes. What I'm trying to say is Dooku has a lot going for him in this movie.
Yeah, okay. I pick. That's worthy. And you know what? It's going to sound like I'm bandwagoning, but I honestly picked it, and this is horrible timing. I honestly picked it right when you were explaining your thought process, so I didn't know. But I'm also going to say Darth Tyrannus, aka Count Dooku. Christopher Lee, man, he really did a great job with this character, I thought he wasn't as affected by the bad writing as the rest of
I
the
actually
cast.
thought some of the writing for Dooku was really good. I loved. There's that line that always that always like gets me, which is when Dooku's in a blade lock with Kenobi, and he says, "Surely you can do better."
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Where was I? Oh yes, Count Dooku. Great character. I really think I liked him because this is the first time, just going chronologically, we get to see a different kind of Sith. Someone who's more civilized, a gentleman, a true aristocrat. Someone who's more controlled, someone who doesn't, it's not Palpatine where you've got this horrible disfigured person and they're talking like they're a witch from Hansel and Gretel and their eyes are turning yellow. It's not like Darth Vader where you're walking around in a giant robot suit and you're breathing all crazy so everyone can know how scary you are. It's not like Maul where you're running around like a raging bull with a swinging your giant double-bladed lightsaber and you've got red and black face tattoos covering your entire body.
He's not physically
he's just kind of
but...
he's not physically threatening. Most of the time he's not even he doesn't even really use verbal threats too much, at least not in this movie. He just tries to explain his point of view and he tries to explain what he understands is happening to Obi-Wan. And of course Obi-Wan doesn't believe him. Would you? Probably not.
Probably.
But I just thought he was a really interesting character. It felt like a breath of fresh air for the villains up to that point. So yes, Dooku.
Should I keep going first, or was?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's switch it up. Yeah, sure. Switch it up. Let's do it.
So now we're at worst character. Parentheses. I'm gonna go first. Worst character in this. It's depressing that I have to say this. It really is, because it shouldn't be this way. I can't honestly convince you that the worst character is anyone other than Anakin. It's Anakin. He is... I know Lucas wanted to show that he was a brash Padawan who had trouble controlling his emotions. But he did all of that at the lack of any redeeming qualities. There wasn't any reason that I felt like I should root for Anakin here. There wasn't. Other than, he's the main character. And I really hate that about main characters, when you're just supposed to root for them by default, and not for any particular... like Luke in the original trilogy. He was a good person. You could see that, and he had the destiny to become a great person. Same thing with Rey. Rey in Force Awakens, you could see the hope in her eyes. You could see but you could also see the fierceness. You could also see the willingness to defend herself. Anakin, yeah, I guess he's a great warrior, and the Force comes naturally to him. But you never get that. This is a guy who just wants to do good. You never get that from him. Because of how creepy he looks, honestly. Because of how creepy he always is around Padme. In a way that he isn't in as much, I feel like, in Phantom or Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, Anakin.
Okay, fair. All right. Worst character. I would say Anakin, but to be honest, he was a bit more... He wasn't as proven as an actor.
Yeah.
Hayden Christensen. So I'm going to go with Padme. Oh my gosh.
It's a good point.
He got Natalie Portman. Acclaimed actor.
This was also earlier in her career too, though.
Yeah, earlier in her career, but still, we see what she... Already at this point, we'd seen what she was capable of, and what she... And now seeing what she's done, and how, I guess, let's be honest, she's pretty accomplished. I'm not saying she's the greatest actor of all time, but she's pretty accomplished.
I think she's Academy nominated, if not Academy Award winning.
Definitely nominated. I'm not sure about award winning, but definitely nominated. So with that in mind, what the heck, Natalie Portman? What the heck, George Lucas? How did you let this happen? How did you let this happen? How did you let such an amazing actor?
She's in a leading role. She is arguably the second or third most prominent character in this movie.
It just...
yeah.
You just go,
Yeah.
It's just disappointing to see it's just disappointing to see this happen.
Yeah,
Let's just say
I
that.
agree.
She's such a great actor, and she ends up with such a bad end result. Whether it was because of the lack of, maybe it was the lack of direction, maybe it was the bad lines. Seems like it was both. Whatever happened, the end result was not good.
No,
And
definitely
and
not.
for that reason, for what we know she is capable of, I'm gonna say Padme Amidala because of Natalie Portman.
Yeah. Let's go with the next coolest new thing you noticed from the rewatch. It's I know it's been a while, so you may not remember anything, and that's fine. But I'll go. I have something, a little thing. The thing that I remembered about this was I remembered watching the Anakin slaughtering the Tusken Raiders. I forgot how short it lasts. I forgot that it's over in like 5 seconds.
It's hinted towards.
It's hinted towards. It's not shown. It's referred to and it's not shown. I always thought I remembered a longer scene for that. And I thought actually that was a good thing, honestly, because that scene was really disturbing. Just the way Anakin does this like weird expression. He does the like, this is not normal. It's like the scene we'll get to later from Clone Wars, with Ventress, where he just like batters down her, and you can see this is not normal Anakin. This is like dark side crazy mode Anakin.
Okay. Something that I noticed on the second watch around that I hadn't really noticed on the first. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of something off the cuff. A little hard. Let's go with, even at this point in the story, Nute Gunray. Padme is still living rent-free in Nute Gunray's head. More than a decade later? However many years it is later.
He's mad.
Still, like, it's still tearing him apart that he took such a big L to a group led by a 14-year-old. I thought that was funny.
It's that he lost anything.
Yeah.
Like,
really,
this guy has the ego, an ego the size of Geonosis, Yeah. Good one, actually. That was a really good one. Speaking of Geonosis, favorite planet. I will clear this up really quickly. Geonosis is my favorite planet in this movie. It always will be, and it always has been. All of the sequences that take place on Geonosis are incredible. I love the design for Geonosis. It's a different type of desert planet. Even though I'm tired of desert planets in Star Wars movies, I do like the idea that Lucasfilm and now Disney Lucasfilm has been having to make sure to differentiate every single desert planet from each other. Jakku is different from Pisana, is different from Geonosis, is different from Tatooine, is different from Arvala 7 and The Mandalorian. But Geonosis specifically is very different. It has that rocky atmosphere, it all has that. And also added to Geonosis is how we see it so much in the other canon, you know what I mean? We see it in Season 2 of the Clone Wars, we see it it's a very big video game location. We see it in Battlefront 2, both the original and the new one. It looks gorgeous in both of them. Geonosis, man, it's a great planet.
Yeah, okay. One thing that I like about Geonosis is, unlike the other desert planets, it's cool the way it has this menacing feel, and it kind of feels different because of the red, the red lighting from the sun that we see sometimes, the red rocks, and all the giant spires. So yeah, super neat planet. Super good on whoever came up with that one.
Yeah.
Best planet
best
for me.
Planet for you. We're going off of Naboo, Camino, Geonosis, Tatooine, and Coruscant.
I'm gonna go with Camino. Because I liked Camino because it's cool to see an entire water planet. It's the first time we've seen that. It's the first time we've seen that in Star Wars. And I just love that. As a little kid, I always thought the coolest kind of planet in any fantasy space drama or what have you, any fiction, would be like a stormy water planet. So it was really cool to get to see Camino. in this movie. It blew me away the first time with the stilt cities and the creatures that can swim in the water and fly in the air, and Obi-Wan riding on one. So yeah, I love Camino. I
By
love
the
Camino.
way, me flexing my trivia brain right here. I was are those creatures.
I beg pardon?
I was are those creatures.
I was.
I was.
All right. There we
Sorry,
have it.
need to
I
flex.
was. Nice flex.
Anyway, yeah. Let's go next to most overrated and underrated scene, starting with overrated scene. I'm gonna go with overrated scene. You know, I never got the hype behind the ground battle of Geonosis. I mean, it's cool. I think it's really cool. No, like after the arena, after they get out of the arena, but before the hangar. I think the Battle of Geonosis is cool, but I don't think it carries as much weight as other battles from comparative movies. You know, Crate, Last Jedi, Hoth, Empire Strikes Back, Endor, Return of the Jedi. I don't think it carries as much. Like, oh yes, we are in a Star Wars battle. Even battles from its own trilogy, Naboo in Phantom Menace, Coruscant in Revenge of the Sith, I don't think it carries as much weight, personally. But that's
Okay.
just me.
Why do you think it doesn't carry as much weight? I'm not. Can you elaborate on that?
I feel like it's kind of more shoehorned, honestly. I feel like it's just kind of like,
You think
so
it's
we need to have
shoehorned in?
it seems like we gotta have a ground battle here. Let's just throw a ground battle. It doesn't seem like it was very thoughtfully thought out as a battle. It feels very chaotic, which of course all battles should feel chaotic, but it doesn't feel like it has that classic battle narrative. This is what happens at the beginning. This is what happens in the middle. This is what happens at the end. Like Hoth does, like Crate does, like Coruscant does in Revenge of the Sith, even.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, I kind of see what you're. I kind of see what you're going for here. One moment that I think is overrated, honestly, are the Hangar duels. The duels between Obi-Wan and Anakin, and Dooku, and then Dooku and Yoda. I think that they're pretty good. They're pretty good, but I think that I know you love them a lot. I've heard a lot of people show a lot of love for them, and that's awesome. However, I don't think that it's fully warranted. Let's just say from my perspective, I just think that they come off as a little bit. No, they feel very over choreographed in parts, and yet somehow they also feel a bit ponderous at times, with the a lot of waiting for one person to strike, kind of trying to fake the other person out, and it just doesn't do it for me. So I'm yeah. Let's just say I'm not the hugest fan of that. I'm not gonna say it doesn't deserve. I don't understand. I don't feel the same enthusiasm for it that I've heard a lot of other people profess. So because of that, I find it to be overrated.
See, I actually hear more people like you. That's why I often
Really?
talk about it so in such positive terms, is because I hear people saying, not that it's bad, it's just not one of their favorites, and that's ironically why I've been talking about it so much. Is not just because I love it, is because I know is that I've heard not many people talk about loving it that way. But
Okay.
most underrated moment. This one caught me by surprise at the rewatch. For In a Galaxy, and I love this moment, this like scene. The space chase between Obi-Wan and Jango Fett on Geonosis, above Geonosis.
Oh, I forgot about that. That
It's
is pretty
really
cool.
good. It has a lot of good original trilogy callbacks, especially to The Empire Strikes Back. We covered them in in those episodes. You can go check them out. We cover them in more detail there. But yeah, though that space chase is really interesting, and of course it has that seismic charge, which
Oh man, the seismic
visually
charge.
and auditorily I feel like was the Holdo maneuver before the Holdo maneuver happened.
Yeah, a lot of people love the seismic charge.
The seismic charge was awesome. I thought that was really, really cool. What do you think is the most underrated moment from Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones?
The most underrated moment from Star Wars Attack of the Clones. I'm gonna say probably the speeder chase. The speeder
Between-
chase in on Coruscant, the
on
speeder
Coruscant,
chase
yeah.
with
Good.
they're
good
chasing
pick.
they're chasing down Zam Wesell. You know, I don't think it's the greatest action sequence ever. I think it does suffer from a bit of a I don't know quite how to well, I mean, it suffers from a bit of the dialogue feels a bit
Forced.
forced. Yeah, the dialogue feels clunky. That being said, a lot of the stunts that we see them pull off, the two massive falls, that's pretty cool.
It's a great
and I just
action
thought
sequence.
it earned points for me because we've never seen anything like that before in Star Wars, or really, as far as I know, since no, not true. At least on the big screen, we haven't really seen like a chase scene, a car chase kind of thing, and it was cool to get a little bit of a taste of that
Well, Basama
in Star Wars. Yeah, Rise of Skywalker. Okay, that's why I don't remember it. But
let's go on to Star Wars Clone Wars. Same thing. Overall thoughts. Overall thoughts for Star Wars Clone Wars. Jacob and I had never seen, neither of us had ever seen the full cut of Star Wars Clone Wars before this. So these are our thoughts watching for the first time. Really good. Really good. There were some stuff, I'm not fond of Mace Windu on Dantooine, but that was the only chapter of it that I felt was actually kind of disappointing. Every single other chapter I felt was very rewarding and very interesting and took us to a lot of interesting new places. The one thing I felt was a little bit was a little bit bankrupt from Clone Wars was I was hoping for some more theming stuff. Like, Nelvon was the first time I feel like we got some real serious thematic approaches in the story, you know what I mean?
yeah,
that's the only thing I really wish we got more of, but it was really solid. I thought some of I also wish there was a little more dialogue, but we discussed that in our first Clone Wars episode, but the dialogue decisions they did make, the animation decisions they did make, the lightsaber duels, the regular fights, the space battles, everything measured up. It was its own scale of Star Wars epicness, Every Star Wars movie, TV show, all of that stuff, every one works a little bit differently. And I love that Clone Wars had its own style, Overall thoughts, very, very good.
All right, yeah, I had a similarly positive reaction. I think it's super, I'm not going to say underrated because
it's highly regarded.
I think it is highly regarded. I wish more people knew about it, though, because I know a lot of people who are really into Star Wars. It's a blast. I really loved, especially what stood out to me was the tone and the feel, like kind of the cartoonish. It had a sense of humor. It had a sense of
it was larger
the
than
exaggeration.
life.
It was a little bit larger than life. It was a little bit campy at times, but that really made it great. It was delightfully over the top and cartoonish, and I really thought that was a nice change of pace, a really refreshing thing to watch after so much of the kind of the super gritty feel that Lucasfilm has been pushing lately in a lot of the newer Star Wars projects. There is more to good storytelling than violence and pain, and I think this shows that because it's pretty it's a romp. It's a romp, man. I love it.
Yeah, I agree. Rating. I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna give it like 7. I'm gonna go with 7.
I'm just gonna say I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I really liked it.
Okay.
Solid 8 out of 10. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not much to say.
Yeah, let's go to best and worst moments. Best moment for me. Best moment. Can I just say the entire sequence on Hypori?
The entire sequence on Hypori, that's the Grievous.
Yeah, the Grievous acting like a monster. That was incredible. The cinematography of that, the acting, the lightsaber dueling, as ridiculous as it was. That was when Clone Wars went from like, oh, this is nice, to like, what is this? You know what I mean? Yeah, Hypori is the best moment for me.
My best moment, there were a lot of really good moments. I would say Grievous But to be honest, I kind of knew that you were gonna say that, or I made an educated guess, and it paid off.
Guessed right, yeah.
So I'm gonna say
I'm a big Grievous fan. It's no secret.
I'm gonna split it between two. First one is kind of a series of moments. Anytime that we see something about Obi-Wan and Anakin's friendship and their relationship, because I thought that for a show with such little dialogue, it did a monster job of adding to and fleshing out the relationship of Obi-Wan and Anakin, and it really kind of sheds light on and underlines the fundamental misunderstanding between the two of them that leads to or helps lead to some of the tragedies that we see. Obi-Wan is kind of he's harsh on Anakin to his face, but then behind his back he's backing him up to the council, you know?
Yeah.
He's saying like he's great.
What's your other moment, by the way? Sorry.
And I just think that it makes everything that comes later all the more heartbreaking. So I really love this. The other moment is when Anakin, he has his lightsabers, he's slamming down his lightsabers on Ventress. He's about to take the final blow, just like over and over again, wham, 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 blow after blow, and then you see all the Jedi flashing, and you see the flashing, and you see kind of the you can see the conflict a little bit between the light side and the dark side, and wow, that is great.
I will say
that is a really great moment. Very exciting.
That was like one of the most cinematic moments in that entire thing. That felt very cinematic. Worst moment for me. I don't like the stuff with the tank and Dantooine.
You didn't like the giant stomper foot?
Mace Windu punching battle droids. I can deal with that. But Mace Windu in that tank was like 50 times bigger than a normal AAT tank. And Mace Windu and Yoda took out those two things with roughly the same amount of effort. If we're talking about Ragosa in the Clone Wars and Dantooine in Clone Wars, that didn't add up for me. That didn't work for me. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. It was just it didn't work for me.
Okay, that's fair. Maybe there's a point when things become a little too overblown. So my worst moment, for all the show's great things.
I think I know what you're going to say.
When Grievous steps up and he opens his mouth, or he turns on his vocabulator, and he starts talking, and his voice, it is very, very underwhelming. Maybe it is I think it is definitely partly because we've already seen Grievous in the Clone Wars episode 3, and we've heard how you have the Grievous voice in your head, and you're expecting this crazy, like, rumbly, ragged throated, like coughing, just totally sickening, deranged, like screech kind of. Not a screech, but you know what I mean. There's nothing else like it. And then you get just this kind of tinny, robotic. It's just a person talking. It just sounds like a person talking normally with a slight accent, with like a couple of put through a couple of filters. So that just didn't sit well with me. I'm not mad or anything. They didn't know, I guess. So I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not a good moment. That's why it's my worst moment.
I got a confession to make. It doesn't bother me as the way it bothers you.
I wouldn't even say it bothers me. To be honest, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't disrupt my enjoyment. It's kind of.
Is it like a?
It doesn't even make me mad. I'm just gonna say it's funny. Like, it's just kind of a.
It doesn't provoke the same reaction in me that it does in you.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say it's a little bit of a facepalm moment. If ever there was a time to use this, I'm gonna say it. It was a bruh moment, but it wasn't necessarily. It was a bruh moment.
It was
but
gonna happen sometime, people. I'm surprised it took him 25 episodes.
It's not something that makes me angry or disappointed the way that something in, I don't know, The Last Jedi might have. So yeah, I don't know.
By the way,
maybe that says something about the show and how enjoyable it is. I don't know.
We've been recording for a long time, so I just want to maybe let's pick up the pace for these next couple answers. Just
All right.
putting that out
All
there.
right, awesome.
Best character and worst character. Actually, let's group these together. Can we do like best, like most and least for these, like grouped together? Like I do both of mine, then you do both of yours, sort of thing.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Okay, best character and worst character. Best character, you know who it's gonna be. It's gonna be General frickin' Grievous for me. Done. Period. Nothing more to say. He is a monster. He is a horror villain. I love him in this. Worst character. Palpatine particularly irks me in this. I don't know what it is.
How come?
Palpatine particularly. I think he's playing. I think they had him play his part as a weak old man a little too convincingly, honestly. To the point where it almost became annoying. You know, whether he was like, "There's no danger on the war-torn planet that we are. I'm just fine." On Coruscant, remember that?
So you felt like it was it felt grating, or
It felt like they were using the idea that we know that Palpatine is bad, and we know that Palpatine is, you never, there's a point where you take a step over the line with the idea that Palpatine's controlling everything.
Yeah. So you think it wasn't just...
Yeah.
Didn't sit well with you.
Yeah. You don't jab the audience to make sure they know that Palpatine's controlling everything. They know that Palpatine's controlling everything.
My best character, this is really tough. There are a lot of people that I could say is the best character. For the sake of this, I did decide to eliminate the main characters, to be honest.
What do you describe as a main? What do you qualify as a main character in this?
People with a large speaking role. Palpatine,
Like
Anakin, Obi-Wan, Grievous, Ventress, Padme, and also C-3PO because.
So where are you going? With?
I really liked the Ithorian Jedi.
Oh,
I just thought he was super cool. Karab, yes. The man.
Or, sorry, Ithorian.
Yeah.
Along with his best friend, Snowman.
Yeah, Ithorian and Snowman. Oh my gosh, okay. I get it. I don't know the names. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh.
No, I find it funny at this point, not because of you. It's just like, I love that you saw that guy and thought Snowman. I don't know what it is. I just love that so much.
I just like that we never really see an Ithorian that's kind of a big, powerful character that kind of takes charge and is a big badass, We always see, I don't know, I guess Ithorians always just end up playing these like meek characters, like they're the bartender or this farmer, shop owner, and they're always just kind of getting rolled over by the bad guys and they never do anything. So I just liked seeing a character that kind of an Ithorian that I guess just kind of defied this mini convention that Star Wars had somehow put into place of Ithorians being these kind of whimpering, like, weaklings. Worst character, I'm gonna have to say Padme. It wasn't. Nothing about her performance was offensively bad.
By the way, we'll look back at the episode 1, but I think Padme's going 3 for 0 as Jacob's worst character in all of this.
Dang, really? No way, I didn't even know that. Oh my gosh.
I don't know for sure, but I would guess.
Padme was my worst character. I feel bad because I don't even dislike Padme as a character that much. Last movie it was because of the acting. This movie it's because, I don't really have anything bad to say about any of the characters. So I'm going to have to go with Padme because she needs a chance to redeem herself after what happened in The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
And later Revenge of the Sith.
And later in Revenge of the Sith. She needs a chance to do better, be more interesting. And we don't get that, which I thought was a little disappointing.
Yeah, I get that.
So that's just why I disliked Padme. I wouldn't even say I disliked Padme. I just thought she was one of the weakest characters. The weakest character.
Coolest new thing you noticed, it wasn't a rewatch for either of us, but coolest new thing you noticed, I guess I'll go. I've said this on the show so much these days, but I knew Grievous was terrifying in this show, but I never realized the way they orchestrated Grievous in this show was specifically to be this bogeyman that comes out at night and like destroys everyone. You know, that's what they were building him up to be. He was built up to be this like children's tale horror villain sort of kind of thing, and I love that about him. So yeah, that's me.
Okay. One thing I noticed, I touched on this earlier, so I'm going to keep it short. I loved the way they treated non-human characters and aliens in this this project. And I especially loved the way they treated alien characters that didn't speak English, like the Ithorian and the Ice Caveman. I realize this isn't exactly helping my point that I don't know their names, but I like the fact that we got to see them in action, and we got to see some aliens who weren't Wookiees and who weren't necessarily main characters
or Twi'leks
that they weren't Wookiees or Twi'leks. No, nothing against Wookiees or Twi'leks, but
we just see them.
We really got to see alien characters that we haven't really seen before, and we get to see them being badass. Usually, we tend to see a lot of these alien characters for whatever reason. We tend to see them, if they're not a main character, in positions where they're just not doing anything, and they seem to fall into the same kind of roles over and over again.
And all of that.
Yeah, exactly. But so I just loved seeing these two badass Jedi that were just these crazy species that we'd never seen before, and they were still just as cool, and watching them was just as compelling, maybe even more so from in my experience than if they were a human or a super humanoid type of alien. So that was something I really appreciated. Yeah. Thank you, Gennady Tartakovsky. Thank you, Team Clone Wars. Thank you.
Yeah. Favorite planet. Shoot.
Okay.
I'll make this one quick. Hypori. Done. Let's do this.
Hypori. Love it. Planet of Grievous. My favorite planet was Nelvan or Neilvan. I can't remember which one it is. Nelvan, the snow planet. I love the inclusion of a snow planet. I love the high mountains. I just loved all the art direction.
Yeah.
In it, in Nelvan. I love the I just love the way the Nelvanians their whole look, some of the giant. It was just very aesthetically appealing watching them. The Nelvanians. Yeah. It was really cool.
Okay. Most underrated and overrated scene. Overrated first. I'm gonna make this short for mine too. Overrated. It's hard for me to think about this one. I would say most overrated would be, and again, I haven't heard many opinions about Clone Wars, so it's hard to see for me. I think a lot of the Coruscant scenes can be over the top sometimes. I don't think they're like. I think Hypori as a battle is better than Coruscant, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Fair.
Underrated.
I disagree, but
yeah, underrated. I mean, they're both amazing. That's the thing. They're both amazing, but I think Hypori's better. Underrated. Most underrated scene. I never hear people talking about how awesome Dirge is. As much as I rant about Grievous, Dirge is just incredible. I'm a huge Dirge fan, so all the scenes.
Yeah,
with
Dirge is pretty crazy.
I think
it's a very original idea.
All the scenes with Dirge are underrated. Go ahead with yours, and then we'll move on to one quarter portion.
Okay, most overrated scene. You know, honestly,
you're gonna say Hypori. I know it.
It's the Grievous fight scene on Hypori. Yes, yeah. You knew it. I mean, look.
It's because I've been talking about it so much.
It's not. It's honestly not, because I came up with the Clone Wars ones. I came up with my answers to the Clone Wars ones before we recorded. So it's not. It wasn't.
Okay.
I think a lot of people, I don't want to say overestimate, because like Grievous is insane in this. We love Grievous. That being said, I do think that he does get just a little more gushing and standing and just complete, like, people just going nuts over it than it deserves. Like, it's cool, but it is a little overhyped, and I would say it is a bit overrated. He is awesome. He's crazy. He is scary. But I think all those scenes with him slaying out against the Jedi, they're a little overrated for what... They're not everything that people kind of hype it up too much, you know? Okay, that's just something that happens, you know? And the most underrated scene, you know what? Let's go with Mace Windu going ham on Dantooine. Punching the droids. flying through the air,
I love this. His
the whole
most
drill.
overrated scene is his most overrated scene is my favorite scene. His most underrated scene is my least favorite scene. Nice job, Jacob.
Because I think for how much, I've already gone over this scene. I don't need to go over it again. It's awesome. It's crazy. It's insane. But for how much love the Grievous scene gets and for how much love Grievous in this gets, I think Mace Windu kind of gets snubbed because he has a similar thing. He has a similar moment of he just goes bananas. He doesn't hold back. They don't hold back in showing what he's capable of and just doing the super exaggerated, amazingly over-the-top, mind-blowing action sequences. And I think that Mace Windu doesn't get enough love.
Okay, next we got, I think that's it actually for us. Now we're going to everyone's favorite part of In a Galaxy.
1/4 portion.
This week is, of course, our third this month. Talking about what we are recommending this month in Star Wars.
This month, more like this week actually, I have been reading Last Shot.
I thought it was Last Shot
by Daniel José Older. Last Shot, Daniel José Older. I haven't gotten too far into it. I've been pretty busy lately. I have gotten to about the 100th page, and it's pretty exciting so far. We get to see a different side of Lando and Han. We get to see Han as kind of a family man and his struggles with fatherhood, and I think that is something really profound. And kudos to Mr. Older for tackling that issue, because it's I think that it can be not easy at times to deal with like fatherhood in a sense of someone really struggling with fatherhood.
I like that.
And so I really like this book. I think the writing can be it feels a little bit sparse at times. It doesn't feel like sometimes there's quite enough description. That being said, it's still obviously it's very well put together. It feels very tight and to the point. And for that, I'm digging it. Haven't found anything to complain about. So
yeah,
I
haven't read Last Shot myself. I haven't read Last Shot myself. I've read a bunch of other canon novels, but I've heard it's pretty good. So yeah, this is not actually a Star Wars, I guess, made by Star Wars thing, but it is related to Star Wars in such a way. And I gotta say it. Anyone who's a fan of this is gonna know exactly what I'm gonna say. Then let's get ready to SCHMOEDOWN! I've been binge watching Star Wars MTS matches lately because they're awesome, and because I'm trying to like get ready on all the trivia I can because I want to do it someday. And man, there's so many good matches. I actually just finished today. Let me recommend one specific match to you. And I think I'm gonna go with the Demon, Alex Damon versus the Luminous Laura Kelly at the SCHMOEDOWN Spectacular. I think that's number 434. I don't know. It's one of the two. There are two titans of Star Wars content creation and trivia. I love both of them. I frequently talk about how much I love Force Toast, which Laura is one of the co-hosts of, and how much I love Star Wars Explained, which Alex is one of the two creators for. And they hash it out, and it's a close match. And I won't spoil the ending, but if you know SCHMOEDOWN very well, you're probably gonna guess who's winning. I'm excited. Actually, next week we are doing our trivia leftovers, so I kind of broke my promise by watching a bunch of SCHMOEDOWN. Sorry about that. But anyway, we're gonna do our leftover trivia from our trivia match a couple months ago. And that's gonna get us into season 4 of Star Wars in a Galaxy, and I'm hyped for it.
Yeah, we're gonna be covering season 1 of the Clone Wars, right?
Mostly
season 1 of the Clone Wars. We're going in chronological order, which means we are gonna have a few episodes from, I think, season 3 sprinkled in there,
and
right?
2 and 3.
Okay, couple episodes from season 3 and season 2 sprinkled in there.
And
we'll make sure to clear it up. Yeah. And the Clone Wars movie, obviously. Yeah, we're going to be hitting that first, yeah.
We got some cool guests that I think we're going to have.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
I'm not gonna spoil anything, but yeah, that's really, really freaking cool. I'm excited for season 4. I think I just thought of a name. So we had Rise of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I was thinking Ascent of the Clone Wars for season 4.
Another one? Okay, we'll
hash it out.
We'll hash it out.
Anyway, yeah, that's it for this episode of Star Wars in a Galaxy. If you were enjoying this, follow us on Twitter. Our handle is @InAGalaxyPod. Email us with all your questions and hot takes and all of that stuff at swinagalaxy@gmail.com. You can listen to us on Anchor, Spotify, Breaker, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public, Google Podcasts. Anywhere you find your podcasts, we'll be there. May the Force be with you, always.